trick is having the extension over the leg.
Cool. Nice. I think that's good.
Oh,
I hope I don't bore it.
oh boy. Ooh, gotta wake up and mute this computer over here so that I can say something very important. Hello. Thank you all for tuning in. It is May 9th, 2024. I'm sitting here with my guest on Artist Picks, Paul Lee Kupfer. Long, old friendship that we have here. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Justin.
That's
Thanks
enough out of you. Moving on. Let's get to the first topic.
Oh, good.
What do you think the first topic should be?
Do I get to choose, or is this a guessing game where I guess and then you tell me what it is?
I was thinking about either a music video, hopping right into one, or we just go over some past stories, or we've been here together talking all morning also.
Right.
So we're going to have to revisit some things.
There would be too many things. I think it would be easier to start with a video because if we went into past stories, there's such a large pool to choose from that we might end up diving. But I could come up with some stuff off the top of my head too, as far as things that I remember you doing that were less than agreeable things, or stories like that.
Let's leave those out.
I can think about the first time that I remember meeting you, which was a pretty long time ago.
Okay.
And you and a fella here in town named Robert Richards, who a lot of people know. You had, maybe this wasn't the first time I met you, but no, it wasn't the first time I met you, but it was a long time ago. And you guys had like a full-on wrestling match in the parking garage near Market Square there that ended in a leg drop. And it was like, one of those, I hope those guys are okay, see you later kind of moments.
You didn't witness to only one of those. That was a
Okay,
common thing.
sure.
We'd always park in the same spot, and we would leave this bar late at night, and then we would have a big wrestling match on the way to our car.
Right. I remember, that was a long time ago, but I remember that wasn't, that was just like one of the first times that I remember realizing that you weren't very strong. Like
this
physically, because Robert, I believe, whipped your ass, if I remember correctly.
That sounds right. It's also wrestling, which is not real, Paul. All right. Do you want to wrestle now?
Not yet.
Here, we'll wrestle while the first video is going.
Okay. Yeah. Well, let's see if we.
Do you know what the first video is from your list?
Do you have them?
I do have the list.
You can. Do you want me to say it? If you give me the thing, there, I'll say it.
Well, it's. First up, we have Dawes, A Little Bit of Everything. Why did you pick the song?
I remember that when you guys shot the video, I think this is where it's just him solo, right? It's just one of the members, I forget his name, from Dawes, and he's just playing solo.
Yes.
Taylor, perhaps?
Taylor.
Yeah. And I just, it's kind of cool because it's just like a pure song in the sense that like, it's just him, so like the only thing that really can sell the song is like the song, and and I just remember thinking, wow, it's a really good like emotional performance and a good song, and I just remember back when I first saw it that it really just kind of affected me in a way where I thought it was like, wow, that's good, like it's a good performance, it's a good song, and
yeah. We've had a couple people play this, not this song, but some other songs from this session. To which I always mentioned, they came in really, really late. Their hotels got screwed up, and then they came in like dog tired, feeling and looking just really ragged. And then they laid out, got in front of the microphones, and these are the performances that we got.
Interesting, right?
So amazing.
That's cool because it really does have like it's like a very intimate vocal performance where like I remember the vocal performance being like very.
There's one of these mics, I believe.
Oh, cool. Yeah, totally. Right. Well, that makes sense. Yeah, but it was just, is it in the basement in Bristol? Is that where this one was?
It's in the basement of the old train station.
Yeah,
in
which was
Bristol.
cool. That was cool. I remember too. Yeah, and I guess now that I think about it, I was there. I don't remember seeing this being filmed, but I think I was there when you were filming it, like in the town of Bristol at the time.
Yeah, were you performing?
I think I was at the Bristol Rhythm and Roots Festival. Maybe.
Cool. So that's another thing I always forget to mention. At the very end of this episode, you're going to be performing a song. Did you know that?
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
No, I knew that.
It's a good thing we tuned up that guitar behind you sitting over there.
Okay, cool. No, yeah, I knew that. Yeah.
All right. You want to introduce the song?
This is Dawes, right? That's the name. And it's a little bit of everything. Solo performance down in the basement of the old train station in Bristol, Tennessee.
Here we go.
With his back against the San Francisco traffic, on the bridge's side that faces towards the jail, setting out to join a demographic, he hoists his first leg up over the rail. Then a phone call's made, police cars show up quickly, and the sergeant slams his passenger door. He says, "Hey son, why don't you talk through this with me? Just tell me what you're doing it for." Oh, it's a little bit of everything. It's the mountains, it's the fog, it's the news at 6 o'clock, it's the death of my first dog, it's the angels up above me, it's the song that they don't sing. It's a little bit of everything. There's an older man who stands in a buffet line. He is smiling and he is holding out his plate. And the further he looks back into his timeline, that hard road always led him to today, making up for when his bright future had left him, making up for the fact his only son is gone, and letting everything out once his server asks him, "Have you figured out yet what it is you want?" I'll take a little bit of everything, the biscuits and the beans, whatever helps me to forget about these things that brought me to my knees. So pile on those mashed potatoes and an extra chicken wing, 'cause I'm having a little bit of everything. Somewhere a pretty girl is writing invitations to a wedding she has scheduled for the fall. Her man says, "Baby, can I make an observation? You don't seem to be having any fun at all." She says, "You just worry about your groomsmen and your shirt size. And rest assured that this is making me feel good. I think that love can be so much easier than you realize, if you can give yourself to someone, then you should. 'Cause it's a little bit of everything. It's the way you joke, the way you ache. It is getting up before you so I could just watch you as you wake. So on that day in late September, it is not just some stupid little ring. I'm getting a little bit of everything. Oh, it's a little bit of everything. It's the matador and the bull. It's the suggested daily dosage. It's the red moon when it's full. All these psychics and these doctors, they're all right, yet they're all wrong. It's like trying to make out every word when they should simply hum along. It's not some message written in the dark or some truth that no one's seen. It's just a little bit of everything.
That's a heavy song.
It's good.
That's a beautiful song. That's an amazing song.
Yeah.
You started off really strong.
I know. I really, that was a tough start because it's hard. Where do you go from there? Because it's like such a,
Yeah.
you know, yeah.
I want to take a breath on that one. And I want to turn to our comments.
Oh, yeah.
My wife has an amazing point. Your hair looks amazing. Yesterday I saw you're all shaggy.
Yeah.
Today.
Yeah. I was in a Muppet performance before I came to Knoxville, and I did a really good job. And then I decided I should be a normal person again and not a Muppet. And so I got my hair cut. And also I'm in Knoxville. And so, you know, a lot of people that are in Knoxville know that the Chop Shop here, our friend Cindy Lou Douglas has this place. And so I got my hair cut. And if you would like to get your hair cut in Knoxville, Tennessee, make an appointment at chopshophairstudios.com. Chop Shop, a little bit of country, a little bit of rock and roll. Right here in Knoxville.
Rock and roll.
Happy holler.
Chop Shop.
Chop Shop, yeah.
Paul, we have known each other for a very long time in Knoxville.
It's true, yeah.
I have stayed at your place for many winters because you take these long journeys out to Montana, usually Montana, but wherever. Sometimes you're touring, sometimes you're just adventuring. But I got you something to remind you of where we come from.
Oh, yeah.
And
that's big time. So, and
you're large, right?
I love how you must think I'm.
Are you large? I wear a large, but then I got this large, and I was like, man, that is.
I'll just wear it like that. I'll have to stay down. So I'm just gonna wear
You're not in front of the microphone.
I'm just gonna wear it like a
like a little cape.
Yeah.
All right.
That's how
It's gonna shrink.
Will it shrink?
It will shrink.
Not the state, the shirt.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
It's a Tennessee shirt. It's a Knoxville, Tennessee.
It's a Knoxville, Tennessee shirt.
Nice. Yeah, the state hopefully will remain the same size, but the shirt may shrink.
Shrinkage. That's Seinfeld.
I think like Justin and I had this conversation before we started where we're like, let's just try not to devolve into like horrible things that we might potentially say.
Or one
familiarity can be a curse in that way.
Quoting Seinfeld or
right.
Oh, Curb Your Enthusiasm. Larry David. Those are go-tos for us. Yeah.
Yeah. We're not as narrow-minded as we may appear on camera.
Maybe we are. I think we might be. Do you want to tee up the next video?
Yeah. Let's see. And I'll remember what it was.
Oh, hold on. I remember what it was.
So this is interesting, right? I remember what it was too.
The sign will you tell the story about the sign that you saw?
Right. So this next band, they're an interesting band that I think is based out of Nashville, right? Is that right? Nashville?
Yes.
And
I don't know. I was reading the comments. I'm sorry.
Oh, jeez. No. And I remember the first time I ever heard of them was on Live&Breathing, and so that's why I picked this one because the video is just like a very it's one of those videos where you've never seen a band having so much fun before.
No
You're just
doubt.
like, wow,
they're having a blast.
Right? It's like when everybody's in grade school and they're like, I want to be in a band, Mom. It's like that's what they want to do, kind of, right? You know, not like, you know. Anyway, and so I remember seeing the video and just kind of being blown away. And then in near where I am a lot in Montana, there's this venue called Pine Creek Lodge, and it's like kind of become a very big, popular venue. And a lot of people that are well known have performed there. And they have this thing where they put the names of the bands on like these wooden signs.
Okay.
Right. And so, you know, you're there seeing a band and you're looking up and, you know, there's like, you know, MOE, the jam band, you know, and like John Mayer. And then there's the name of this band on a sign and it says Diarrhea Planet. And so you're like, oh, I wonder what that is, right? But I actually knew about the band before I saw the sign out there, and so it was awesome to see it. And I'm sure that happens to maybe this band all the time, where like people that have their T-shirts run into other people that hopefully know the band, and so they're like, oh wow, I'm like one of those people that understands that your shirt that says Diarrhea Planet isn't like some postmodern political statement, it's a band. Or of course the band's maybe making a postmodern political
I
statement.
like the idea of like a marquee. It's just like this week Harry Connick Jr., next week Diarrhea Planet.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. We're having the staple singers, and opening up the show will be Diarrhea Planet.
I think we've done a good job. What is the name of the song that you chose?
It's Ice Age, right? That's the
Ice
name of
Age.
it. Ice
Yep.
Age. Yeah.
All right, well, let's roll that beautiful Ice Age.
Coming from the seat of my pants.
Sun got to the zone. Now that it's paying. Roof is so cold. Total excited. My brain is floating with a friend. I don't wanna leave them. Fucking cops showed up again. I guess we keep playing. Every time it shows up, I'm always messed up. Tripped in this shit. Gonna die to be it. This time I've got it in trouble. I don't wanna fuck up. 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 Hey, there's a new song.
Right, that's awesome. Am I wrong? That's
That
awesome.
you were far from wrong on that. That is intense, and you were completely right in that. Like when you're a kid and you think about being in a band,
Right.
every one of those guys is absolutely having a blast and shredding. And I absolutely love. I love all of the videos, and I love that band. And I don't think that there's a song. I'm probably wrong, but I want somebody to argue with me about.
I'll
this.
do it. What
I don't
is
think
it?
that there's a song over 2 minutes. That they did.
Yeah. Well, that's great. That was what we just was that like a minute and 10
I
seconds.
think it was a minute and 30, maybe.
Well, that's the thing is to pack that much intensity
Yeah.
into a song that's a minute and 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Like if that song was 2 minutes, like people's heads in the crowd would just explode before the end of the song. Like I don't think you could go 2 minutes and 10 seconds. It's like it just wouldn't work.
You can't shred that much
No.
that quickly. You got to pace yourself.
Like they'd be in the middle of the song and a guy's finger would just come flying off and blood would go everywhere. It'd be horrible.
Eventually, just be the drummer.
Right. And then he would just. Pretty awesome, though. I mean, you know, that video, I just remember seeing it on Live and Breathing and just being like, what are these guys doing?
I want to change subjects right quick.
Oh, yes, of course.
I went into. I've been debating these two things, these two stories that you told earlier that I thought were absolutely hilarious. Okay.
Uh-oh.
So I want to start this one off with So I'm the touring front of house audio engineer for the Avett Brothers. Have been for almost 20 years now, which is really amazing to think about. And in my very first tour with the band, we did, I think, 40 shows in 43 days, and we were opening for this band, BR549. And there was a bunch of small clubs and bars and whatnot around. Not every show was with them, but just about everyone was. We went all around, and some of them were weird. Most of them were really cool. For me, my first time on the road, it was the most enormous learning experience that I could imagine. Like, it just doesn't get any more intense than that.
Right.
But one of these experiences, we found ourselves playing before BR549 at a strip club. Now, it wasn't just a straight strip club. We get there around noon, if I'm recalling correctly, to like load in, and we get there. I don't think that I should say the name of this place, but maybe it doesn't matter. I'm not going to. But we're in the mountains in Appalachia somewhere, and we get there, and all the girls are topless.
When you get there.
Yeah. And there's not a lot of people in there, and every now and then the music would come on loud, and a girl would get on the stage, and there was bartenders that were all topless, and then there was other girls that walk around.
And this is like 3 p.m.
Yeah, this is afternoon.
I always feel like
So-
it's harder to be topless.
We're like, man, this is going to be weird. Like, we're going to have all these topless girls.
The
in
band's
show.
not gonna be able
This
to
is like some of
concentrate.
my first experiences of being on the road. I'm like, oh, this
Hey,
what
this is
I'm in my
great.
early 20s. I'm like, oh, this is sign me up. This is my career.
Right.
I was
I mean,
already in that.
I wonder if they
mindset.
did that to you on purpose. They're like, we want Justin. Let's take him to the strip club.
No, there was nothing on purpose about this, and there's nothing strip club about our careers.
Of course,
Like, this was the
no.
only
That's kind
time
of what makes it really funny.
the strip club was involved with the Avery brothers. I guarantee you. So then, we do sound check and everything, and they were, oh, it's great and whatnot, because the doors don't close, people don't leave for sound checks at this time.
Right.
So then it comes around to be time for the show to start, and we were playing before BR549, and everything changes, and the girls put on their tops, and
Really?
and then for our performance and for the ticketed event, like, it was no longer a strip club. It was the same girls, but it was no longer a strip
Wow,
club.
that's a very great dramatic irony where all of you are there just like, we have been looking at these girls nude all day.
I'm not gonna argue
now,
that, but-
and now we have to pretend like we've never seen these girls nude. Is that like a weird? I don't know.
I don't know if you have to. There's nothing to portray there to pretend, but I can say that my soundboard was at the end of the bar, so I was kind of behind the bar. So I was super bummed that they were now topped.
Meanwhile, they're like, I've been freezing all day. Like,
Yeah.
I have to say I've never been a fan of strip clubs because I don't really understand why I would want to stand around with a bunch of other guys in that situation. It's like, wait a second, like, I don't know. There's something. There's something strange. And then also I will say.
What about your story though?
I've got a similar story that's pretty good. I'll tell you, but also, I know that I'm becoming like an old man because the other day I was in downtown area and there were girls walking around and they're wearing like nothing, young girls, and
You're not even a father.
literally the thought that I had was, those girls must be freezing. Where are their jackets? And people, anyway.
It got weird when you took off your jacket and you're like,
Here, yeah, and they're like, whoa, old man, take it easy, yeah. So you were, this is the story, I guess, that you were alluding to, was that many, many years ago, in a similar realm of, living out of my car and playing music, I had this gig, and I was coming across from the West Coast to the East Coast, so it was part of like a very big drive, and it was a $300 guarantee, which is like, at the time was a very, very big deal, and so like I was making this gig. Definitely. Like no matter what happened, this was the one gig on this stretch of like 10 that I had or whatever through that I was definitely going to make. And the day of the gig, and I'd be interested to hear what state you were talking about, because this is in Nebraska, and I also maybe won't say the town or whatever, or the venue, but so I'm coming through Nebraska, and I'm like only 2 or 3 hours away from where this place that I'm supposed to play at is, where they gave me a $300 guarantee, and I get a call from the guy that's the promoter or whatever, and he says, "We're so sorry, but the place has been shut down by the Board of Health." And I'm thinking, first off, like, well, that's good. I'm glad I got there. I'm glad they're not shut down tomorrow by the Board of Health. But anyway, so right away, I'm just like, this whole thing is screwed. But he says, but I'm working on it, and I'm pretty sure I'll call you back in an hour. I've got another venue for you to play at. A friend of mine owns it. You'll be paid the same. It'll start at 8 to 10, same. And so I'm thinking, oh, fine. He calls me back and he says, here's the address. You're going to go on at 8. The other act's going to go on at 10. Cool. So I'm back in business. And it was actually closer to where I was. So, you know, instead of having an hour to drive, I only had like 45 minutes. So I get there a little early. It's totally like this middle of nowhere, off the highway stop with an old broken down sign where the girl used to do this with her cowboy hat, but now like the lights don't work anymore, and there's pigeons laying eggs on her head, and
those aren't eggs.
Yeah, right. I guess they were eggs. So I pull up, and again, I'm like really, you know, I'm not playing till like 8, and I'm there at like 6 or something. It's pretty early, and there's nobody there. And there's just wind blowing dust around, nothing in sight. And so I sit there for, you know, an hour and 45 minutes, and finally it's 7:45, and a car pulls in, and this old guy gets out, and he says, "Hey, you're Paul. You know, you're playing. Oh yeah, nice to meet you. Hey, I'm so and so. I talked to so and so. Okay, cool. You know." And he says, "Yeah, we're gonna start at 8," and then he walks in. And that's it. And so then I eventually walked in, you know, and at this point it's like, oh, I'm starting at 8, there's nobody here, right? But I wanted that guarantee. So I'm like, I'm going to get on stage and play no matter what. They gave me a guarantee. I am going to get it before I leave here. And so I get on stage at like 8:10, and there's nobody there. And I played a whole 50-minute set to like the old guy.
50.
Yeah, because I was playing for 2 hours. I had to, you know, I had 8 to 10 was my slot. And so I played this 50-minute set, and it was completely pointless. And then I go out, and I'm standing there thinking, like, should I just get in my car? Because they had the PA and everything. I just had to walk in. And so I'm like, maybe I should just get in my car and just, like, leave, right? Yeah. But then the old guy comes out, and he's like, hey, you want me to make you a cheesesteak? And I'm like, sure. You know, I eat a little something between sets. And I'm like, okay, like, now it's like I got 50 more minutes just to play until 10. Yeah. There's nobody here. I'm like, oh, I'm going to do another set. He's like, yeah, great, you know. So I go on stage, play another set.
Yes, you are.
Right, yeah. He's like, yeah, if you want your darn money, you're better to. So I go on stage and I play the second set to nobody. And then it's like 9:50 now, and somebody walks in the door, a guy, and I'm like, there's somebody here. And then I really picked it up, and I'm like, okay, there's somebody here, you know. And then somebody else, and then somebody else. And then we're getting on, and I'm thinking like, oh, like they're showing up for the other band, you know. So I've got like this little 10-minute stretch where maybe I could reach a person and a half, you know. And so I go and I finish, and I'm just getting ready to be done. And then all of a sudden, like, it's like 9:55, and there's like 30 or 40 people in there all of a sudden, and they're talking loud. And then they literally come up to the front of the stage with this excitement, as if like they're excited about something I'm doing. And I couldn't imagine what it would be. And right when that happens...
Hold on. To be clear, you are a musician with a harmonica and an acoustic guitar.
Totally. I am on a stool on a stage in a room that is painted all black with a black stage, very like small amount of lighting, and cement floors, and I'm sitting there playing guitar and harmonica and singing, right? And I'm on the last song with whatever I could come up with to finish out the night here, and people all of a sudden are amazingly excited, and I'm thinking, like, pounding on the stage, excited. and it was one of those moments where I'm like, I guess I'm really good. Like I never knew that like I had this effect on people. And right when I had that thought, a girl walks out from behind me and starts dancing in front of me in the stage and starts stripping. You know, one girl. And I'm sitting behind her, and she did it while I was playing. So I just like kept playing.
She was dancing to your playing.
Yeah, I'm playing, and she walks up behind me and starts dancing in front of me. And at that point, people are in a frenzy. And so I'm like Jim Morrison all of a sudden, and I'm just like, I better keep this going. And so I just kept playing it, and I went on for like probably another 30 minutes or so. And at this point, she's naked, and I'm trying to just concentrate and not like look at her butt cheeks that are right in front of me to be like a good gentleman or whatever. And during the process, my guitar goes horribly out of tune. I was playing this old Kalamazoo guitar, and I was really cool and folky at the time. And so I was tuning with my harmonica, and I like stopped for maybe 2.5 seconds to tune, and people started yelling. They were just like, get back to the song, like, play, dance, play, dance. And I'm trying to tune and I just could not get the guitar and tune it. So I just get up off the stool and walk off the back of the stage, out the back door, and I'm just like, whoa, like, all right. And I'm hanging out there getting a breath of fresh air, and heavy metal music turns on inside, and she finishes out her set to this like hardcore heavy metal music. Who knows what happened? They might have ripped each other to pieces in there. And then she comes walking out the back door. And she's like, that was so much fun. And I'm like, yeah, okay. I'm Paul. Nice to meet you. She was like, and she's this young, beautiful girl. And then the owner of the club comes out and he says, you guys are on in 15, you're back on. And I'm like, no, not me. And he's like, no, yeah, you're both back on in 15. And I'm like, and he's like, oh yeah, I'll pay you more. You're on. And we ended up doing like 2 sets. We made bank, man.
Can you describe some of the moves, perhaps? Like,
okay, so this is in the X-rated version of this story.
Harmonica, guitar,
right,
and stripper.
Honestly, I didn't sing. I was just playing like some bluesy kind of like, very rhythmic stuff, and just trying to keep like a little melody behind it, and it made no sense. Like I don't think I don't think that it should have gone the way that it went. And that's why when the guy wanted me to do it again, I was like, I'm not even sure how I pulled it off the first time, man. Like, I don't know if I should try it again. I think what would be really smart is if you just put her back up there and you paid me and I just left, right? And I was just gone, But he wanted, and we did 2 whole other sets, like 45-minute sets, and went till the end of the night and made really good money. But at one point, there was this moment in one of the sets where she did this thing where I'm sitting on a stool that's, stool level, and I'm like up here. And really, I just didn't want to go out of tune again. So like, I was part of the show. We're in cahoots here. Not in a good way or in that way, but and so I'm like, just trying to play whatever I think is appropriate. And she does this thing where this is hard, She is
it's a profession.
Fully naked. Oh, does she? So I got so excited about telling this part. No, she is fully nude at this point, and she rolls back behind me, right? And her legs go back like this.
Hoorah!
Yeah, right. And I almost was. It was almost too much. I was like, this is...
Did you stay in tune?
Yeah. I did. I did, I think. But at that point, it was like one of those things where I was very nervous.
Yeah. Okay.
Even thinking about it, the visuals have got me.
You're all flustered, I can tell.
Yeah, we better talk about something else.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way. Honestly, like, she was a very sweet girl, and at the end of the night, it was like, we nailed that. No big deal.
Nailed it.
Yeah. No.
Sorry.
No.
All right.
That's my story about that. Yeah.
There's our strip club stories.
Right. And I don't think we should queue up. I think we should. Never mind.
Yeah, right. I'm with you there.
I don't like that.
But so I want to go to another story that you told today.
Mm-hmm.
Do you care about the other one I asked you, and you didn't really seem excited about sharing
What
it?
story? Oh, jeez. Oh, this story.
We've changed names to Danny.
We're using Danny for this one?
I think we should use Danny because we really know Danny, and we really know that it's not him.
Okay, so you're right. So we'll use Danny for this one.
Okay.
This happened to Danny.
Let's say that this was one of the Patreons. Speaking of Patreons.
Speaking of Patreon, if you're enjoying what you're watching right now, you can subscribe to Live&Breathing's Patreon channel, and you can get content like this all the time. And this kind of content, Justin.
Sorry.
This kind of content will keep coming as long as you keep supporting. Thank you so much.
So once you get back from Patreon, we're going to meet here, and we're going to discuss, we'll keep the story going. A Patreon from the aforementioned show got arrested, along with Paul. Let's pretend that he got arrested after that show also. So now you got 2 people arrested. One of them was Paul
However,
in a jail cell.
However, we've come to the point where this is the story that we're going to tell. I think it's funny. So as this story
It
goes,
is true that it's a story.
it is a true story. It is a true story, and you can substitute names, which makes it fun. Okay, so as this story goes, a friend of mine, Danny, he was once arrested for a small misdemeanor type of thing, protesting. And he wound up in jail on the Texas border for 2 nights while he was awaiting his little trial thing, appearance or whatever, you know. He's in jail in the cell where like you have like your bathroom facility that is right there, and you don't have any
Communal.
privacy. Yeah, and it's you and another person, and he happens to be in this jail cell with a Spanish-speaking, I assume, a Mexican guy.
So there's 2 people in the
Two
cell?
people in one cell, right?
Okay.
And this is like a holding cell, so it's not like this is the big jail. This is like just like where they hold you until like you have your little moment where they decide if you're going to go to the big jail or they're going to, you know, somebody's going to pay your bond and pay your bail.
Right.
And for whatever reason, he's in there for 2 nights. And the first night, he's with a guy that speaks absolutely no English, right? And is got tattoos all over him and kind of scary looking. They don't say a word the whole first night, and he's just basically terrified and like trying not to go to the bathroom because, you know, there's bathrooms right there. And so they don't say a word to each other, and you know, sleep on their bunk beds. And then early in the morning, like 3 or 4 in the morning, this guy wakes up and is making noise, and Danny looks and he's like, "What is this guy doing?" You know, and the guy comes over to the top of the bunk and he says, "Fumar, fumar." And then he's like, "See, yes, sure, like, you know, okay." Like, and the guy goes over and he sits on the toilet and he uses it. And then he reaches in there and he takes out, why are we telling this story? And he takes out like a balloon and he washes it real good in the little sink there. And then he cuts it open and he takes out some really crappy marijuana. And he proceeds to make out of toilet paper or whatever, like whatever he has there, a little like doobie.
Uh-huh.
And he lights it up and takes a puff and he offers it to Danny. And Dan's like, "What do I say? No to this guy? Like this
We're in
guy's
jail."
gonna, yeah." Like so that at 3 a.m. they sat there and they smoked this like weed that this
joint
guy
in jail.
extracted. Yeah,
Of
pretty
shitty
bad.
weed.
Pretty bad. Yeah. That I don't know
Okay.
how we've come to that story, but we were talking about that for some reason the other night. And so
It
that's
just
why
really sticks out to me. That story just blows my mind.
Yeah, and apparently it's a true story. Yeah.
I've been arrested twice, and I'm happy to tell those stories with absolutely zero relevance of any story to this next video.
Well, the funny thing was I had a similar situation where I was in a holding cell on the Texas-Mexico border many, many years ago for something really silly and stupid like that. And there was a guy in my cell, and he woke up at 2 a.m. Only when he came over and whispered to me, he asked me if I'd like a grapefruit. And I was like, "No." Sorry, that's bad. That's absolutely not. I would not like grapefruit at this hour in the morning. It is too early for that.
Ah, cheers.
Sorry.
Good coffee.
It's bad.
My coffee is cold. Okay. Separate your mind from
Okay.
all of that nonsense, those stories.
Back to ground.
And let's
Back to
dive
base.
into this next video, which is
A great one.
an absolutely
It's
amazing
amazing,
band. When they come to America and I see that they are on bills around Knoxville, I get really excited
Yeah, totally.
because they are phenomenal. And do you
The thing about this band that I think is amazing is they have a way of being very unique and very, but also very familiar at the same time. And they're very comfortable when they play. They seem very laid back and comfortable, and I just like the vibe that they put out. And then obviously there's the lead singer who is just incredible. And this is "I Draw Slow."
It is. I want to point out one thing: the intensity of our last video,
Yeah, we're on a roller
and how.
coaster.
Well, no. Well, how much fun every musician was having while they were playing is the same, but completely different
I know,
genre
it's cool,
in this
totally.
one. Like
It's
everybody's having a great time.
Everybody's having a
video.
great time in this video, but it's just very different than the last video where it's not the same kind of fun, let's say, or whatever. I don't know, it's awesome.
Yeah.
And I just remember, this is another one where I remember seeing it, and it was just like, stop dead in front of the TV and listen to that, and then maybe play it a couple more times because it was so good.
Recording this whole session, every song is amazing. But
Is this Pickathon? Is that what this is, too?
Yeah. I remember having never heard of this band and instantly.
Me neither.
just
This
like,
is another one where
holy
first
cow,
time I saw
there's-
them was on this video, and
Yeah.
it was like, wow. Right.
They're amazing.
And
Okay.
it's I Draw Slow with their song Bread and Butter.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Boom.
Nice.
I went to the dance looking for a dancer. Went to the dance looking for a dancer. I got questions looking for an answer. Come on, sing along. I went to the orchard looking for a cherry. Went to the orchard looking for a cherry. Dark as treacle, tart as a berry. Come on, sing along. Bread, butter, eat it in the morning. Bread, butter, eat it in the evening. Bread and butter, I'm not leaving. Sing it all day long. I went to the doghouse looking for a Donna. Went to the doghouse looking for a Donna. Fishnet stockings in a room if you wanna. Come on, sing along. I went to the racetrack looking for a filly. Went to the racetrack looking for a filly. Fast and light and fair as a lily. Come on, sing along. Bread and butter, eat it in the morning. Bread and butter, eat it in the evening. Bread and butter, I'm not leaving. Sing it all day long. I went to the beehive looking for honey. Went to the beehive looking for honey. She stole my heart, she stole my money. Come on, sing along. So I went back home and found me a neighbor. Went back home and found me a neighbor. Don't do frills, she don't do flavor. Come on, sing along. Bread, butter, eat it in the morning. Bread, butter, eat it in the evening. Bread and butter, I'm not leaving. See it all day long. Bread, butter, eat it in the morning. Bread, butter, eat it in the evening. Bake that bread, 'cause I'm not leaving. See it all day long.
That band is bouncing. What it makes me think of is there was this gentleman who plays the squeeze box. I'm lost on his name, but he used to play before the Brothers a lot. And the bass player is rocking so hard in this previous video with his hat on,
Yeah.
and it's kind of bouncing around. And it reminds me of this man. I wish I could remember his name. Played squeeze box, very Tom Waits-ish, but his hat, it looked like he had long hair, and his hat would slide around on his head and almost fall off all the time. And you were about more watching the hat fall off and the excitement of that than you
Yeah.
were to his like big, huge like raucous songs in a way. Like he
Right.
brought a ton of energy, much like them.
Yeah, good performers, right? That's
Amazing.
really good performers.
But these videos, like in that one, which was at Pickathon, that little tiny pump house, which I've talked about all the time,
Yeah.
it is 9x9 on the inside with a loft. So you can see like halfway through it, it's about head height to people. And the
Yeah.
upright barely fits back there. I
Yeah.
think he even had to angle it a little more than he normally would to make it fit back there.
Yeah.
All of that energy in that little space, they're all feeling it, and they're in their own little world performing for themselves. And
Yeah.
to me, that's one of the videos, one of the sessions that really captures what I was hoping to capture with Live and Breathing. It's just
Yeah.
a band performing for themselves, like rehearsals, just like having a great time.
I can see that whole session became so special because it just kind of was that opportunity that you kind of envisioned when you even thought of Live and Breathing in the first place.
Yeah,
Like that's
things-
what we
sometimes
would
things
want.
line up.
Yeah, cool. And that was a cool like time where you guys were really making this awesome pilgrimage every year
Yeah.
to go out to Pickathon, right?
Yeah.
And I remember even
Portland, Oregon.
seeing you on the way a couple times of
Yes.
crossing paths and stuff.
Yeah,
and it
we
was
went
like
fishing.
Yeah.
Nick, who was doing the
Was-
cameras, and half of Live and Breathing is him and I were out there.
Was he there too that time? Nick?
We caught a
I
bunch of
feel like
cutthroat.
That's right. We went. You were
Who
too.
else
That was
with us,
right. That
Nick?
was awesome.
Now Nick can come in.
Dirty, Andy Man.
Dirty?
Andy Man.
Yeah, Andy
Dirty
Man.
was our videographer.
Big,
Andy
tall,
Man
blonde guy.
was, I don't know. He's a
Was
Jack of all
Travis? Not
trades.
Travis though. Because
Travis
Travis
lives
is
in
already out
Portland,
there,
so he
right?
was-
yeah,
yeah.
right. You were picking him up, maybe, right?
well. We were probably staying at his house.
Well, the funny
Will?
thing is that.
Oh, Winkle.
Oh, Will.
Winkle.
Yeah, yeah.
Not Will. Winkle was there.
Oh.
Not Will Godfrey. That's
Okay,
different.
yeah. I would have remembered if Will Godfrey was there. No.
He's probably watching.
No,
Actually,
that's
he'll
why
be
I said that.
commenting
That's
if
why
he
I
was.
said that. That's why. No. But the funny thing about that too that I remember is we actually shot some videos that I don't think we went fishing all day, and then we actually shot some videos out there. I think that never made it to they were just whatever they were. But then I remember having a gig that night in town, and it was one of those like show up with your waders, changed into another pair of boots, kind of
Not
set
in
up.
Portland.
No, in Montana.
I was going to say it might be
Montana.
related because Portland, I've been told a million times that it has the highest strip club per capita.
Right. We're supposed
Which
to be
I've
moving
never
on
really
to
seen
something
that
else,
many there.
Justin.
What's that?
We're moving on to something
Sorry,
else.
yeah,
I'm
we're
just
moving on
kidding.
to strippers.
So Portland has the highest. That's amazing to think that they can
Oh,
have
we're not moving on.
the highest percentage of pizza on that side of the Mississippi and the highest strip club. Do you think there's any correlation?
Between pizza and strippers?
Yeah. Do you think there's a correlation?
I'm looking for facts. I'm looking for the audience to bring us some facts to
Okay.
support this.
Cue your stripper pizza jokes, I guess.
There's
I don't
some
know. Yeah.
R&D. What?
That was like a pretty long time ago, I guess. And so you caught some fish too. I remember also like.
I remember catching a ton of cutthroat.
And it was one of those things where like it was like Tom Sawyer meets River Runs Through It, where
Yeah.
you were out there looking
These
like
memories are all coming back to me now. There was a
right.
giant fire.
You were
out
fishing
there.
with like a treble. You were fishing with like a total bass lure and catching trout or something. I remember.
Yeah, I was fishing a little bit illegally.
I don't think it was illegal. No, I think the rules as far as that pertains, if we want to know, if anybody wants to know, is that you're allowed to have a treble hook, but you can only have one hook per lure. Meaning that like you can't have like a Rapala style that has two hooks.
Oh, okay.
But you can have
then I
you
was
can have a
within.
rooster tail, which is I think what you're using, something like that, where it does have one hook. So I think you were legal.
It was a panther
You were
marlin.
legal. You were just frowned upon.
Probably.
No.
I wasn't even fly fishing. Of
No,
course
you weren't
wouldn't do
fly
that
fishing,
kind of
I
thing.
remember, right.
Well, I tried for the first time. I think I tried fly fishing with your pole, which I absolutely loved. But
Yeah.
I'm so comfortable with.
It takes a little practice.
Yeah.
And then it's always windy out there too, so the wind is always something.
I don't remember the wind being a problem.
Yeah, I remember.
I
taking,
do remember this. Every tree, like we drove through thick forest, like the river's right over here, or the creek
yeah.
or whatever. It's going to be great. And then we get into this area where the fire stopped, and it was just a bunch of black toothpicks for as
That's
far
right.
as you could see.
Yeah, I remember that now. I remember where we went, and it's an area that's probably about 15 or 16 miles down like a gravel road into an old burn where there was a huge forest
Yeah.
fire, maybe a decade.
But all the
more ago.
trees right up on the creek or tiny river, whatever it was, those were all still there. So like it was kind of shaded when you got along the water and you went up
Yeah,
and down
there was
the water.
there.
It was awesome.
Well, and all the growth that grew back by the water shade. The nice thing about that spot, because there's a couple forks of that creek back there.
What
where-
creek was it?
It's called Mill Creek. It's a
Okay.
pretty big creek. I think it's Mill Creek in that area is the largest drainage in the 50-mile stretch where the Yellowstone River runs from Gardner, Montana to Livingston, Montana.
Okay.
Mill Creek is the largest tributary in that stretch. It's a pretty big creek, and it's got
So it
two
did-
forks, East Fork and West
It
Fork.
pretty
that dump
quickly
in.
dumped into the Yellowstone from where we were.
15 miles. Yeah, we
Yeah,
were like
okay.
15 miles back into it. And one of the reasons why I used to like going fishing there, especially back then, because I was, it was like in the beginning when I was fishing out there too. Even though I hung out in Montana, I never had time to fish. But because there is that burn, and so it's like a safe bear place where because you're down in that creek with like the foliage around you down there,
Oh.
that new growth, but like there's not dense woods around you, so you kind of have a good visual to know like, okay, there's no grizzly bears, like, you know what I mean? Because it's scary to go down into those low
We don't have
little
grizzlies
creeks,
here.
right?
We have black bear.
And so it's a little scary. Well, the black bear, they're pretty dangerous.
No,
They're
I don't
dangerous
think
in a
that-
way where you have to be aware of them. As long as you're aware, they're not. But yeah, but that's one of the reasons why back in that day I liked to fish there, was because you had a good visual because all that burn around you and you could see,
Okay, so my family and myself, what was that, a month ago, came out to Montana
Yeah.
and stayed.
Yeah, for a visit.
We visited and we stayed at your lovely lady's house.
We had a great time.
Had an amazing time.
And Blakely was so great to put you
Amazing.
guys up. She's
Yeah.
did a great job.
But what a great house in downtown Livingston. We went to Yellowstone, and you told some awesome stories about things that you had seen, because you go at 4:30 a.m. a few days a week to go play basketball.
Yeah. Yeah, I
And-
got myself into this crazy thing where the employees, some Yellowstone employees that I'm friends with, they play basketball from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. in the morning. And I live kind of far enough away, and I carpool with some people, but I have to wake up at like 4:30 in the morning to go be there and drive up. But it's cool because every morning you drive up into Mammoth, which is not very far into the park, but it's there on the entrance to the park, to Yellowstone National Park, that's open all year round. So you go, and sometimes you're driving up there and it's negative 25 degrees outside and there's snow everywhere. And then the gym's heated and you go in there and play basketball. But driving up and down there is cool because you like on some mornings you'll see a wolf run across the road,
Yeah.
and then you're there right at dawn. So when I'm driving in, it's dark, and when I'm driving out, the sun is coming up. So it's kind of it's kind of psychedelic, honestly. Like it's one of those things where, you're barely even awake, and then you're going into this. You're playing basketball, and I don't know. I just got into it, and all of a sudden I was doing it probably more than made sense for my schedule.
I was just fishing for a story that you told me that completely blew my mind, of a bison crossing a bridge.
Oh,
Do you remember that story?
Yeah, that was a long time. That was a long time ago.
Oh, so this was not a basketball morning?
No, I don't think so. If it's a story that I remember,
okay.
You're talking about so there was a time when there's a lot of bison in Yellowstone, obviously, but particularly sometimes at certain times of year they migrate in and out, and so there's some bridges that they'll be crossing. And at this one point, I was waiting to cross a bridge, and there was a whole herd of bison coming the other direction to cross the bridge. And so I ended up having to wait like 30 minutes for them all to cross. Mm-hmm. And there was this one what I assume in my mind was a mama bison. Is that a scientific term, mama bison?
We'll look into it.
Can we say that? Mama. She was a mama. She was a big mama. And she was behind the herd. And then way back, there was a little baby bison that I guess this bison, mama or papa, whatever it was waiting for this other one, it seemed like, and just kept waiting. And even though the herd had basically passed, and so I just kind of waited too, because there was two more coming, even though they were going very slow. And when they passed, I had noticed that the little baby bison, the whole back of his body was just completely chewed, and he was like really in bad shape, bad shape. And you realize like, oh, he's, it's like he's the weak link of the herd that the wolves have been picking on for however long, and probably is not going to make it through the night. Really, just one of those things where you say, ooh, like, I wish I had gone earlier and not seen that. But it's part of nature, and so, but I think that's the story you're talking about.
It was, yeah. But it kind of led my mind into our experience there, where we saw so much wildlife, and it was snowing, and it was absolutely beautiful. But the two things that I wanted to see, were hopeful to see, was one, a wolf, and or a moose. We did not see a moose. And as we were leaving, we see this group of people with their tripods set up and their telescopes and whatnot. and we slowed down, and you asked, like, what are you guys looking at? And they said a pack of wolves.
Yeah.
So we got out, and they were kind enough to share their viewing, their telescopes and their binoculars. One of them was even kind enough to pull out a milk crate so that my son could step up and see.
Yeah.
But we're looking out, and we're trying to find this wolf pack that they're looking at. And there was, with a snow white backdrop, there was a bison in the middle of this field up to its, I don't know, shoulders or whatever in snow, not moving at all. There was a wood line, and then there was a hill that had a much bigger hill behind it. But this hill was kind of a little bit bald, and everything else was covered in snow. And so we're standing there, and they're like, well, the wolves are all in this tree line, and we're waiting to see, like, something pop out. And then all of a sudden, like, oh, the wolves have moved, and they're on this bald top of this hill looking down on this bison that's in the middle of this field or snow, whatever. And there was 12 wolves in that pack.
12, yeah.
2 of them were black, and with these things that we were looking through were so powerful.
Yeah.
You could see the gold eyes of these black
I know.
wolves.
It was
and all
such
the
an
rest.
amazing.
Oh my God!
And
It
they
was
were up on top
amazing.
of that hill where
Yeah.
the wind was blowing. Their like winter coat, like in fur, was like flapping in the wind, and behind was it was one of those total things where you could have seen that on like a
National
nature.
Geographic
Yeah,
or
right.
something.
It could have been.
It
on-
was amazing.
Yeah, and it was cool because I remember seeing each one of you guys go up to the spotting scope and look, and as soon as you hit the scope, everybody went, "Wow!"
Even
Like, it was
through,
like a
they were
blow your mind experience.
Hundreds of yards away, looking through this, you could tell that they are absolutely enormous.
Oh yeah, and that was cool. That was 12 members of the Rescue Creek Pack.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was cool because the people that were there gave us some really cool information because
They
they
did.
were
They followed them.
folks that follow them, and keep up with them, and that was cool because that was when we were coming out too.
Yeah.
So we had a great time,
I had an amazing time.
but we still had a couple things on the checklist, and
Yeah.
wolves was one of them, and we got that really awesome view. It was perfect, and it was like the perfect lighting too. It was really amazing.
It was amazing.
Yeah. It was great. It was really cool.
Thank you for that experience.
There you go.
It was awesome.
We nailed it. And then I turned out to be a pretty good tour guide. I was worried that I would, I had to get that exhaust leak in the truck fixed to make sure everybody didn't pass out on the
New
way. And
tires
I got
on the
got new
Suburban? They were
tires and
great.
got that exhaust leak, and nobody got asphyxiated in the truck during the traveling, and so it went really good. I thought.
I thought so too. Nobody died. It went great. Way to go, Shackleton.
Yeah, exactly. We righted the ship right at the right moment, and that was
no
really fun.
wrongs
We had a pretty darn good time. We did have a pretty darn good time. Yeah.
My wife, who was there, just said
She
it was
says
incredible.
it was incredible. See,
Paul Tucci, who's chiming in, he says, I got it. That's the 1.92 strip clubs per 1,000 people in Portland.
I'm afraid
Oregon.
we'll just never get ourselves out of the mire.
Yeah. The slop.
This is what happens once you start telling stories about strip clubs. Everybody's like, "Well, one time I do have this one story." I don't condone that kind of behavior personally. I think it's I consider it to be inappropriate, Justin.
I have many opinions on
Not
it.
the girls making money. I think they should make money any way they want. The guys going there. I don't approve of.
I would agree. A lot of the guys that are there, I don't.
It's not the girls' fault. It's
Anyways. Well, shoot.
Shoot.
We have 2 videos left.
Oh.
And then you play a song.
You said I was going to get a massage in between. There was somebody that was going to give me a.
Yeah, I had to say something to get you over here.
I,
They didn't show up.
dang it. Are we going to go to a video? Is that what you're saying? We're going to.
What would you like to do?
Well, I think a video would be good.
Okay.
Yeah, I think.
This is a band. I have not seen them out and about for a while. It's
Yeah.
a 2-piece band that is absolutely hilarious. And I can say 2 things. One, the greatest tenor guitar player that I've ever seen in my life. Secondly,
Showmanship, totally.
The
right?
only tenor guitar player I've ever seen in my life.
right.
But even if it was a 6-string, he would still be slaying it on it.
Tenor. It is right. I forget that he's playing a tenor guitar
Yeah.
all the time, which just adds to the lore. Where you're like, what is that? What is he
Yeah.
doing? What chord is that?
I highly recommend checking out all of Live&Breathing's Two-Man Gentleman band videos.
2-man gentleman band, and they're not. They're not necessarily not a band, but they're not necessarily performing anymore.
I don't know.
It's
I
been a
heard
while. I don't
Andy
know.
Bean.
Yeah, he's doing stuff in like Los Angeles, making
He started
music
working with
for
Disney.
Disney, I've heard that.
That
too.
was a long time ago. That might have been a phase that's gone. He might still be in it.
I remember
He's
hearing
perfect
that
for
through
it.
the grapevine too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I will say is about this band was there was a lot of time when I was traveling through the Bristol and East Tennessee area where they were playing, and I would come across them a lot. And I was always, two things about them. I was always like so in love with their performances because they had a way of working up the crowd and just having such a good time, but also being technically really good.
Yeah.
Where like it was a great balance of shticky ridiculousness and actual good talent, you know? And I think that the people really started to love them for that same reason. The other thing that I always noticed that was so funny is I would show up and be seeing them play live, and their following was like a Fish crowd. It was like all these like dready people that like totally just came from the Fish concert. And I always remember being like, there's just something so strange about this band. Like I don't understand what is happening.
Especially with their aesthetic. It's just like
yeah, exactly. And it was just like it was very paradoxical in a way where I was just like, this is good because it's doing good things. I like it.
You want to
Also, another thing about this is kind of, you know, a lot of these songs that I picked here I've picked because I think they're good songs, and like the last one is a song about bread and butter, right? And so, you know, there's something, and Sam and I were talking about this. There's two sides to that coin of sometimes it's like I personally don't like songs about beer and whiskey because it's too easy to write a song about beer and whiskey. But try writing a song about bread and butter. You know what I mean? And this is a similar thing, even though it's a totally different kind of song.
Yeah.
You know, this song is Chocolate Milk by the Two-Man Gentleman Band. And like, go look for songs about chocolate milk. Like, there's not that many of them. So it's cool that they came up with a song about chocolate milk, I thought. But it's also a very silly, ridiculous song, which is what the Two-Man Gentleman Band does. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Very intelligent, very goofy.
Yeah.
Amazing entertainment.
That's the other thing that's funny about them is that then like you talk to Andy and Fuller and
the councilman,
sorry.
Andy Bean and the councilman.
Right. Yeah, we're going way back. This is awesome. But they're unusually smart people where you're like, oh, you're very intelligent.
Yeah.
You're a very intelligent person. Like I wouldn't have expected that necessarily. But then it all kind of goes together in a weird way that maybe only makes sense in the two-man gentleman band world. I don't know. You know? Like the whole thing works.
It's worth thinking about.
Yeah. And we'll roll it because if you haven't seen the two-man gentleman band, you'll love it. I hope.
Yeah. This is one of the first videos we ever made.
Really?
Yep.
And this was filmed in this filmed down in the
This
basement
was in
there, too?
the train station in Bristol in the basement.
Right.
I believe this video in particular was the very first year that we were there.
Oh, cool. Right. Wow. So this is going back too.
Yeah. So Dawes was a few years after.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Because you were doing that for a couple of years, right? Yeah. And I remember other people that were there and were filming during that time. And this is a good one, the Two-Man Gentleman Band, Chocolate Milk, and you know, total like. Oh, that's the thing. I remember also in this song, one of the reasons, and I forget if it's this one or another one, but I feel like there's a moment where Andy almost laughs.
He almost breaks character.
He almost breaks character and laughs, which makes it like, and I don't know if it's this one or another video, but I feel like it might be this one. So
all right,
let's keep an eye out for that. If he laughs, I don't know.
Two-Man Gentleman Band, Chocolate Milk.
Chocolate Milk. Boy, we're right on the edge of the massage.
CHOCOLATEMILK, chocolate milk, CHOCOLATEMILK, chocolate milk. Oh, who'll fetch me some cocoa beans? I will. I just woke up from a dream, sipping chocolate milk. Who'll fetch me some heavy cream? I will. I just woke up from a dream, sipping chocolate milk. Oh, I was blowing bubbles through my straw. Oops, I spilled chocolate milk all over you, honey. Who'll fetch me my limousine? I will. recline in the backseat sipping chocolate milk. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. One. Oh, who fetch me my magazines? I will, I will. I need something to clean up all this chocolate milk. And who'll fetch my amphetamines? I will. Cause I might want to stay up all night drinking chocolate milk. Oh, I was blowing bubbles through my straw. Oops, I spilled chocolate milk all over you, honey. Who'll fetch me my limousine? I will. We can recline in the backseat sipping chocolate milk. O-O-C-H-O-C-O-L-A-T-E-M-I-L-K. Chocolate milk. C-H-O-C-O-L-A-T-E-M-I-L-K. Chocolate milk. Doodly-da-da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-doodly-da-da-da-da-da-da. Chocolate milk. You drink it.
Those guys are an absolute bundle of fun.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Also, you know, for two guys, I mean, that's a nice little tight package to put together to play shows with. Just two guys, guitar and upright bass.
To your point of the intelligence and the simplicity of their travel, two men that get along really well.
Yeah.
Dress up, look really sharp.
Look sharp.
Can handle themselves in just about any situation, musically or just like. Could you imagine like a heckler or something trying to like bust their balls? I know it doesn't come across in that video, but I'm sure that
It must happen.
their wit is so quick.
You think that they would zing them?
I think that there would be a lot.
I feel like I've
a
heard
quick zing.
some zing stories. I feel like I've heard zing stories about them even. I can't remember any of them, but I feel like there's been zing moments where they might have zinged somebody.
I love zing stories.
I wish I had a good zing story. Actually, I have an okay. Well, no, I mean, yeah, no. I don't
Whoa,
know.
that was a roller coaster right there.
I'm going on this emotion.
My mind's gonna be blown. No, it's not. So
Oh my
disappointed.
God.
Oh, now
wait,
I'm
this is a
back
good
to being
story.
disappointed.
No. I remember seeing some stupid thing that like John Mellencamp is like his performances are all zing performances these days, where he like maybe stops and like makes sure that like people are paying attention or something.
Oh wow.
That's always a hard to me. Like it is kind of one of those. You know, I've been in that situation where you're performing in some small place, and for some reason they just decided that it would be a great idea to sit very close to the front and have a very loud conversation.
Yeah.
And you're like, what do I do here? Do I say something? You know? Yeah. And I so many times have wished that I was one of those people that could just be like, do you mind just going to the back of the room? You know?
Yeah.
And if you don't mind going just trying to be polite and shooing them along. But I never actually was able to do it. So I just stand there uncomfortably for the rest of the night. Playing and not being able to hear. And
it's like singing lyrics back into their conversation.
Yeah, right.
I've got two my favorite examples.
You got a zing story? I want to hear it.
I wouldn't say really zing stories. One of them is a zing story, and it's a dear friend, Dave Mayfield.
Oh,
and it's
yeah.
I'm sure that he didn't come up with this line, but he uses it amazingly. And that, like, you know, you have in between songs, you'll have somebody yell out something really loud or whatever, whether they're enjoying it or not.
Right.
And his reaction is usually, and he's got a few that he goes to, but my favorite one is when he's like, "Mom, I told you to wait in the car."
That's good.
That one always, every time. And
That's
I know
good.
that it's coming and it's still just tickling me. That's good. And the crowd always loved it. And that's really what matters. The other thing is, I went to this venue. We had a day off in Chicago, and there's this little jazz club called the Green Mile. And I guess their claim to fame, if you will, is that it was one of Capone's spots. And I think that they give tours, like behind the bar, there's a tunnel that goes underground, and I guess that's how the booze was moved or whatever. So you have that kind of aura of danger and
Cool,
like and
speakeasy
that history.
vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got that going for it. But also they have jazz, and it's a listening room. And when they say it's a listening room, if you're talking during the performance,
Some big hairy knuckled guy comes over and he says, "Hey, could you please stop
basically
talking during
you
the
get thrown
performance?"
out with curse words.
Really?
Yeah, like
Wow.
I didn't say anything, but somebody a couple spots over, like in between songs, was like cursed at and made to leave, and then the band could resume.
See, that's awesome. I'm okay with that.
Especially for
Yeah.
this style of music
Right.
or singer songwriter, like that needs to happen. People need to be more respectful and
Right.
understand that like this is a quiet moment for music, and
Right.
that's why we're all here. And if you're not here for that, be aware of it.
Or
It's
at
cool
least
to have a
at least
conversation.
go to the other end
outside.
of the room, you know, like
Yeah,
to have
well,
some awareness of
This had outdoor
surrounding
seating
that.
too, so if you wanted to get your drink and go outside and sit,
Right.
you could have done that.
Right.
But these musicians on stage were absolutely incredible, and it was so fun to watch. But it's also like another one of those my favorite situations. Being a sound guy, I deal with a lot of large PAs and that sort of thing. But when
Right.
you can get a band in a small space and not even need the PA, I don't remember there being a PA, but I'm sure that there was a small,
Probably a mic
something
phone
small
with a
there.
little
But the
amplification,
room
yeah.
was tight enough to where it's just like
Yeah.
it was just awesome.
Right. And you didn't get 86. You were good.
No, I sat there and enjoyed the music and had my
Right.
They were fancy drinks. It was awesome. The Green Mile in Chicago.
I remember one time I was splitting a night with a girl who was like, you know, I was in the town that she was from. It was in North Carolina, and she was, you know, I was like opening, or you know, she was the one that was from there. So like it was a good thing for me to split this night with her because she was going to bring some people, and I had met her out on the road, and you know, and she was this sassy kind of good, you know, good singer, good songwriter, but you know, like tough looking. She wasn't like up there to BS. She was a delivery kind of artist. She was good, you know.
Okay.
And I played my first set. It was like 45 minutes, and there was this drunk guy that was totally the obvious guy that play Freebird or do this or do that, you know. And I'm like, oh. And it went on way too long, and me being like the typical sissy that like is not going to say anything to the guy. I'm just like, oh, I'll just stand here and just pretend like I don't hear him, you know. And it was really annoying. And I think it even ended with like Wagon Wheel, you know, play Wagon Wheel. And I'm just like, oh, like I'm even like now at this point, like having conversations with the guy. Like he's totally derailed me, you know, and I'm derailed. It's over. And so I limp off the stage. Oh, it's horrible out there. It's, you know, I died. He killed me, that guy, you know, a total train wreck, you know. And she looks at me, and she's, you know, and she goes up there, and right away, the guy says, "Wagon Wheel," and she looks right at him, and she goes on the mic, and she goes, "No, shut up and sit the fuck down." And he just goes, "Oh shit," and he didn't say a word for the rest of her set. And I remember thinking, like, man, I wish I was tough enough to say that. But then I also remember thinking, like, I bet if I said that, like, there would have been like a bar fight after the gig. Like, she could pull it off, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like there's a nice little thing there where like a female bar owner can say those things, or they can grab the biggest guy and tear him out by the ear.
Yeah.
And if I did that, like, I'm mincemeat, man. I'm not getting into that, you know? But, you know, and this guy might have been a little bit of he might have had some pepper on him, you know?
Yeah.
So, but that was one really good Zinger story that I remember, because she was just like, just took a nail and just, bam, you know, it was awesome.
Aggression will not stand.
Oh, she nailed it. And I remember her just almost giving me a look and being like, "You sissy." She looked over me at the side. She was like, "Such a sissy."
She's like, you sit down too.
She was like, learn how to do it, man.
Yeah.
Sorry, ma'am. That was a good Zinger. That was actually in the town. That was in the town of I think either Wilmington or Beaufort, North Carolina.
Oh, I love both of those towns.
Which I think is
Both of
somewhere
those
down there.
towns.
I think is where I actually did maybe meet you for the first time. It was back in like the 3-piece era of like throwing instruments across the stage
With the
catch
Avets.
them that have gotten restrung. And
Were you with Ian?
I think,
Ian
yeah,
Thomas?
Ian. I was with Ian, and we were down there, and we were playing at the Beaufort Music Festival.
Yeah, that was on the water.
Yeah, that's like that was a long time ago, right? Maybe however long ago. Yeah, but
I remember that show.
yeah, it was a great show, and I remember that was the first time I saw the Avets, and just thinking like, wow, it was another
Intense.
thing where you're like, I gotta practice, man. Like I better start practicing.
Well, I don't know what to say about that.
I don't know if you can practice that.
You got to practice breaking strings. And
Yeah,
at that
right. I
time,
don't know if you can
We would
practice
keep
that.
track.
It
And
was
there
nuts.
was records broken. Maybe not at that show of the amount of strings broken during one set,
I
which
bet.
is
What's the record?
oh shoot, this has not happened. Now we have great guitar techs and the instruments are taken care of. And when you get into how an instrument works, there might have been some different setup things that were wrong. But also, to be fair, they attacked their instruments.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, I remember thinking at the time, like, this guy, you must be a really good sound guy, like, because I mean that's a hard gig, man. Like now I feel like the difference between those days, just like every artist, like that's like the early days of like making it all happen no matter what, and like having to swim upstream and all that. But that's like you guys were pulling it off in a way where I remember just being like, that's a hard sound gig. Like you got a lot going on there.
I can say that from those songs from that era, now the band has grown and changed. Like,
Yeah,
there's way more
right.
members.
Totally different.
There's different spaces and whatnot. So it's different to mix now than it was then, but they still have those songs then.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I would always, especially as young as I was, I would talk to every sound guy, ask for advice, constructive criticism. But there was a few songs like Talk on Indolence of just like, they're just thrashing the hell out of their instruments.
Right.
It's like, what should I do here?
Did you just find a narrow little spot to EQ to and just try to zone it in?
We
or
can
what?
get into the
We don't
technical
want to?
side of all
Okay.
that because now it's changed so much then. But
And the
for
equipment
the
is,
most
the
part, like,
gear and the
people were just
technology
like,
has changed.
I don't know. There's no right answer to what
Right.
you do to that. Like
Right.
the answers varied and the gear varies from at that time gig to gig. So it was like I did my best and I hung on and our crowd grew.
Yeah, that's what made it fun too. Is that's what everybody was doing. Everybody was just like, "Oh my, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
What are they going to do?
How many strings are you gonna break?
Yeah, what could possibly happen next?" Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the old. I think that was probably the first time I met you down there. When I think about it, yeah.
I think that was the second or third time that I met Ian Thomas,
Right,
who was
it
a
was-
phenomenal songwriter as
Right,
well.
yeah.
And he has made the move to Montana.
Yeah,
I've-
but the funny thing is, I think now that we're talking about this, I think he's in North Carolina right now. I think I
Is
was
he really?
texting- Yeah, he is.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
yeah.
Well, I'm not, and I won't be. So. Miss that guy. Miss his songs. All right. We have one song left, and then you're going to perform one.
Yeah, I think that's how this goes, right?
Do we want to get into that last song? Do you have any?
This last song. Oh, this is I don't know anything about this band.
Okay.
Really,
I don't either.
I don't really know
beyond
anything
recording
about
them
them, but
at
this
Pickathon.
is another
They're
one where I
awesome.
just remember seeing this video at the time, and it was vastly different than a lot of other stuff that you guys had recorded at the time. So it was cool
Yeah.
because it was a lot different. And then also it's another one where like there's something just so nice about seeing musicians that just feel and look so natural, and they're not like, they're just doing it in a way like it's like the Louisiana style of like, this is what we do every day. Like, so you happen to be recording us today. Like, it just feels like
Yeah.
that when they're performing. Yet they're so tight and so good.
So tight.
But they do it in a way where you're just like, wow, like that's like the most natural thing I've ever seen. And
Yeah.
and I love that. And it reminds me of like all those old, big band recordings and blues recordings where, what you're listening to is the room. You're listening to the fact that 50 years ago, someone recorded a room where this guy was playing in. And for the person that might be Manch Lipscomb or, Duke Ellington, I don't know, any one of these old artists that was in this realm of how you used to record back then, I love that feeling of like, for them, this is just any given day.
Yeah.
But you happen to show up and you're recording me today. So like, I'm not going to act any different than I would act on any other given day.
Yeah.
And it just feels like that in this video. I love that.
They're
It's just like,
they've been playing their whole lives,
Right.
maybe together. I don't speak Spanish. I don't know what the song's about, but I love that the way that they pass. Each one takes a verse. The choruses,
Totally.
they're all there.
Yeah.
They're super tight with the rhythms, and they all are on the same page.
It's like watching a family band or something. You're like, wow.
It really is.
It really is.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, it's cool. Which, that kind of familiarity in music, like, it's a kind of a subconscious thing. We've all seen bands that, like, are going the opposite direction, and you're watching their show, and you're like, well, these guys obviously hate each other right now. The tension is just like, in this case, in a lot of cases, like, when bands are just very natural and having fun, I really like that,
Yeah.
So this falls into that category. What's the name of the song? Do you have it? It's Los Cojolitos is the name of the band, right?
Right. This is Coco, I think.
Coco, yeah, El Coco, or do you know where this band is from?
I don't.
No, okay, we should have looked that up
I
before
should've
we
looked that
started
up.
the
Amateur
video.
hour.
Next time.
Season 1.
Okay, it's okay. We'll do it better next time. This is jeez, just. This is Los Cojolitos with El Coco.
Ay, ay, ay.
Free, Justin Glanville, stupid.
Los barcos están parados, ¿por qué no le sopla el sur? ¿Por qué no le sopla el sur? Los barcos están parados
Y por eso no han entrado barquitos a Veracruz, barquitos a Veracruz. Y por eso no han entrado.
Coco, abajo del puente
Coco,
nuevo que le llaman.
Coco,
Mis ojos quisieron
Coco,
ver correr el agua.
Coco,
Extendí la vista
Coco,
para mejor ver.
Coco,
Abajo del puente
Coco,
había una mujer.
Coco,
Me quedé embobado
Coco,
al verla bañar.
Coco,
Parecía sirena,
Coco,
sirena del mar. Coco.
Dicen que el coco es muy bueno guisao, en especia fina guisao, en especia fina. Dicen que el coco es muy bueno, pero yo digo que no, que es más buena la gallina, que es más buena la gallina, pero yo digo que no. Coco, galandria viajera, Coco, mándame avisar, Coco, cuántas primaveras tendrán que pasar, Coco, para que me quiera, Coco, y pueda esperar, Coco, si muero en la espera, Coco, que sea poco a poco, Coco, porque tus sabores, Coco, me traen ciego y loco, Coco.
I
It's
love
awesome. It's
that
awesome.
band, that song.
I know. I wish I was in that band, honestly. In my mind, I'm like, if I could just be in that band, you'd never see me again. I'd be gone.
We did not mention the dancer in that, and the colors that she brings.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's just cool. It's just really cool. And it's kind of otherworldly, where it's one of those things where you're like, what is happening? And I like this is awesome. Yeah.
It's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
I mean, there's a little kind of an interesting thing there too, where I didn't realize, but the other in I Draw Slow, she also has such a great presence and happens to dance a lot. But I didn't put the correlation. I picked 2 videos with them both dancing in the front left of the video.
I went from your amazing, amazing selection of songs. I'm going to blow a couple horns. First off, I'm going to thank everybody who has donated anything or subscribed to our Patreon, because you guys are literally keeping the lights on and keeping things moving forward. We still need more. If you enjoy our music videos or any of our content that we create, we have a live stream. Beyond this live stream, we have one that is
Better stuff.
Consistent schedule. It is called the Appalachian String In. It is the last Tuesday of every month. It is old time music, and we have an amazing host, Jessica Watson. She plays clawhammer banjo, and we have different musicians coming in and out. Most are from around the area, but sometimes we pull from like Christian Settlemeyer or Rachel Bayman. Josh Oliver's been on there. Daniel Kimbrough, who is a phenomenal bass player and songwriter. You can check out some of his videos on Live&Breathing. That show is full of talent. It's the last Tuesday of every month, the Appalachian String In. Write it down. 8 p.m. Eastern, Appalachian String In, live streamed on YouTube. I'm going to move on now to Patreon. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'm going to come back to Patreon again after I say a huge thank you to Marble City Hat Company for your sponsorship. An enormous thank you to Fishman. You make incredible products that we cannot wait to shine a huge spotlight on, because the quality of products for touring musicians that you make is unparalleled. That is a fact. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we've also been talking to this banjo company called Deering, and they have a bunch of different models. Huge thank you to you for your support, for your attention, for everything that you do. And we also whenever Merle, a few weeks ago, we went to Merle Fest, and I got put in front of a camera and a microphone to play a song, the only song that I know that I'm confident to step up in the Merle Fest realm, which was Big Scioto. I played Big Scioto with Jerry Douglas sitting next to me, Bela Fleck behind me, and we were playing on Beard guitars. They make lap steels, and I was playing, I guess, a resonator guitar with the fellow playing lap steel. Not lap steel. Dobro. I'm so sorry.
Did they choose you because of your beard?
No, they chose me because I was asking them to help us share promotion for our products, being Appalachian String In and their amazing instruments.
Cool.
To which, they asked me to sit down, play guitar, and play with this guy, and I did it.
And then you proceeded to blow their minds.
No, I blew no one's mind with my skills on that. But it was very fun, very exciting, and of all the times I've been to Merle Fest, which is a phenomenal festival, that is probably now the biggest memory that I have from Merle Fest.
Nice.
And I was not there with the Avett Brothers, to which I also have some amazing memories of. We're not getting into that. Lastly, I have to put a huge shout out and thank you to Palooza Microphones. Most of our music videos that we record now, I'm gathering everybody around one of their 87s, which is not one of these microphones. No. It is a large diaphragm microphone. Right now I have 2 of their microphones up as room mics. They're the 84s.
Oh, nice.
If you want the old school schematics and the way that microphones used to be made today with those old schematics and all the transistors, and we could dive into that. That's a whole nother episode on its own.
Right.
High quality microphones at a very reasonable. You're not paying for a Neumann brand name, which is also an incredible microphone. You're getting pretty much the exact same microphone.
I remember you loaned me a P87, a Palooza P87, and I used it for vocals while recording an album years ago. And I loved it. So that's why I was so ecstatic that you told me for doing this, you're going to give me a free microphone. I couldn't believe it.
We'll talk about that later after you play your song. To that note, I want to go back to the Appalachian String In, which is on the Peluso ribbon microphones, which are awesome. Huge thanks to everybody for tuning in, for watching this, for commenting. Even after this airs live, please comment on it. If you think it sucks, tell us why you think it sucks, because we want to make this a lot better. I see the room for growth, people. I'm not the only one. So help us out. Put comments in. If you really, really think it sucks, throw some money at it to try to make it better at Patreon, Live and Breathing. Now, this is the end of our show. Paul Lee Kupfer, our artist picker, is going to pick us out.
That is
his
the new
song.
model, is you pay to not have stuff, right?
Yeah. You got enough subscriptions.
Like that's what subscriptions are all about these days. You pay to not have commercials. Like if you pay, you won't have to see the bad stuff.
Yeah.
But if you don't pay, it's going to be really bad. That's the new model. Okay.
On that note,
here's the so this is just a song that I wrote many years ago, and it's kind of just we had the two-man gentleman band there, and so I remember always leaving their shows, and it's like you leave and in your head you're like you're just like stuck in that like two-man gentleman band groove.
Okay.
And so this is one of those songs maybe, but it's a motivational song. Above high water, lay your burden down. Don't look back or the levee will crack and you will surely drown. Don't let your mind get compromised by saying what you don't know. And the storm may rise, the boat will float, so set your sights and row. Lucky was a miner, he had a heart of polished steel. And he broke his back on a big old jack, but he never ever broke a deal. And they fired him on Friday, but on Monday back to work. He was pounding tin when the mine caved in and not digging down in the dirt. So keep your head above high water, lay your burden down. Don't look back or the levee will crack and you will surely drown. Don't let your mind get compromised by saying what you don't know. And the storm may rise, the boat will float, so set your sights and row. Above high water, lay your burden down. Don't look back or the levee will crack and you will surely drown. Don't let your mind get compromised by saying what you don't know. And the storm may rise, the boat will float, so set your sights and row. John Henry threw a hammer and he hammered all his life. He beat that drill and he drank his fill and he laid right down and he died. And all the freight still run today, but a man can't ride its seams. Maybe blood and sweat was a better bet than money and machines. So keep your head above high water and lay your burden down. Don't look back or the levee will crack and you will surely drown. Don't let your mind get compromised by saying what you don't know. And the storm may rise, the boat will float, so set your sights and row. Keep your head above high water, lay your burden down. Don't look back or the levee will crack and you will surely drown. Don't let your mind get compromised by saying what you don't know. And the storm may rise, the boat will float, so set your sights and row. Well, the storm may rise, the boat will float, so set your sights and...
I love that song.
Thanks.
Thanks for playing it.
Thanks. Yeah.
Thanks for being here.
Oh, wait.
Oh.
I forgot to take my...
Oh, there it is.
There it is. No wonder I was sweating so bad during that song.
Live from Knoxville.
Hey.
Go to the
for
chop
having
shop if you need a haircut. Go
Yep.
to Patreon if you got a little extra cash jingling around. And thank you so much for tuning in. This has been the Artist Picks Live and Breathing episode. I'm Justin Glanville. I'm your host. Signing off. Thank you, 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 thank you.